here in Israel at this important time. Above all, I'm here to express my solidarity with the Israeli people. You have suffered an unspeakable, horrific act of terrorism, and I want you to know that the United Kingdom and I stand with you. I'm looking forward to my meetings later today with the Prime Minister and President, and I very much hope that they will be productive meetings. Thank you again. Horrific act of terrorism, and I want you to know that the United Kingdom and I stand with you. I'm looking forward to my meetings later today with the Prime Minister and President, and I very much hope that they will be productive meetings.
Thinking back on that,
Oh my God.
They should be held accountable for that. And what I've said to the Israeli Prime Minister, I'm pleased to be here in Israel at this important time. Above all, I'm here to express my solidarity with the Israeli people. You have suffered an unspeakable, horrific act of terrorism, and I want you to know that the United Kingdom and I stand with you. I'm looking forward to my meetings later today with the Prime Minister and President, and I very much hope that they will be productive meetings.
to the Middle East. Mr. Sunak is expected to meet his Israeli counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israeli President Isaac Herzog for what he said on his arrival here he hoped would be productive meetings. This after urging regional leaders to avoid further dangerous escalation. We'll be speaking in a bit to our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucet, about what Mr. Sunak hopes to achieve here. In Gaza, meanwhile, Egypt has agreed to let humanitarian supplies in via the Rafah crossing. An initial convoy of around 20 trucks of aid are expected to enter Gaza after a deal announced by President Biden. But none of this is likely to happen until Friday. Announcing the agreement, the US president warns that the aid convoys would be stopped if any supplies were confiscated by Hamas, which governs Gaza and is labelled a terrorist organisation by the UK and the US. We can bring you live pictures now of Gaza. It is around 10 o'clock now in the morning there. Israel's military says it hit hundreds of sites in Gaza over the last 24 hours, including in the south of the Gaza Strip in the last half hour. It says it's been targeting Hamas infrastructure. With the latest, here's our correspondent, Wira Davis.
As trucks carrying aid queue on the Egyptian side of Gaza's southern border, the UN and international aid agencies have become increasingly alarmed at the unfolding humanitarian crisis. On a visit to Israel that lasted barely a day, while reaffirming his steadfast support, Joe Biden also pressed the case for aid for Gaza's 2.5 million Palestinian citizens, many of whom are struggling to get access to food, water and medical supplies. Then, on the plane home, the president told reporters that a deal had been reached. Egypt had agreed to let an initial 20 trucks in through the Rafah crossing.
This has been a very blunt negotiation I've had. And so I want to get as many of the trucks out as possible. There's, I guess, 150 or something there. Not all of them will go. The first tranche, if there's a second tranche, see how it goes.
In Tel Aviv, he in fact is another world leader after US President Joe Biden, who visited Israel to land in Tel Aviv after Biden. Sunak shows solidarity with Israel. He is to meet with Israeli Prime Minister and the President during his visit to Israel. He will, of course, be seeking ways with the leadership of Israel to de-escalate the conflict situation in the region. My colleague Gaurav Sawant is joining me over the phone line from Israel at the moment. Gaurav, another very important visit. Rishi Sunak has just landed in Tel Aviv. Tell us more about what is on agenda.
Again, a very crucial visit after US President Joe Biden. Within 24 hours, the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak lands at the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, would be meeting the entire top leadership here in Israel, interact with the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And what's extremely significant is these are not just words. This solidarity is expressed through action on ground, or if I may, in the Mediterranean Sea. You have British warships that are also arriving in the Mediterranean Sea. They will be operating in tandem with the two US aircraft carrier strike groups here. One part of this is ensuring that this conflict does not escalate. Other countries in the region do not get involved in Israel's war against Hamas, and also ensure that British citizens can be easily evacuated through the Rafah route, through the Rafah border route into Egypt, and then from Egypt by sea onto these British warships and then be taken to safety. So that's another part of this. Whether it's the United States or Britain, they very strongly come out in support of Israel in its war on Hamas terror, at the same time saying humanitarian crisis at the Gaza Strip must be sorted as quickly as possible. Humanitarian assistance and aid should be provided as quickly as possible. Israel, of course, steadfast saying humanitarian aid will be given once the 200 plus hostages being held by Hamas are quickly repatriated and safely repatriated. And the first step to that is International Red Cross getting access to those hostages, and then supplies being restored through the Rafah route, through Egypt, and that too only food, water and medicines. Follow me.
Right. Gaurav, thank you so much for joining us. Gaurav, they're tracking all those